Gonna do a quick video addressing the email and the picture of my 40th birthday cake that was used as evidence to prove I'm lying or that I'm a liar by Will Duffy and TFE. The email, you clearly heard him say during that conversation, Joe, I choose to believe this. I believe he said it several times. I choose to believe this. So he chose to believe an email that would not hold up in any court of law at all because it fit his bias towards me. And it allows him to try to discredit me, which again wouldn't hold up in any court of law. But let's talk about the email. He sent me the unredacted version, which honestly wasn't much different than the redacted version that he used during the conversation. A few little details. The interesting thing is about this email, the person who wrote the email I have not seen since prior to 2004 on any regular basis at all. As a matter of fact, since 2004, I may have seen this person 3 times for less than 5-6 hours total in those 3 times since prior to 2004. This person who wrote this email somewhere around 2021, which is the date that he said I became a flat earther in his email, or insinuated that I became a flat earther in his email around the time COVID started. He and I had a debate online and through Messenger. He did not fare well in that debate, and it's obvious that his ego was hurt by that. And you can see that just by reading the email. Anybody who reads this email knows that if you're close to somebody and you care about somebody, you don't write in the way this person wrote to a complete stranger about this person you supposedly are close to and care about. That should be obvious to anyone. The email is a projection of someone else's insecurities onto another person that they haven't seen in 20 years. It's ridiculous. It's sad. It's heartbreaking to say the least. Did I know this person? Yes, I did know this person. Were they close to my brother? Yes, they were close to my brother from like middle school until just after high school, and that's about it. So maybe a decade or so, maybe a little over a decade. But again, haven't seen this person, interacted with this person. They know nothing about my life, my personal life, in over 20 years. That addresses the email. He then used a picture of my birthday cake from my 40th birthday party that my mom had made. My mom threw my 40th birthday party for me. She had that birthday cake made. South Carolina was looking at legislation for medical cannabis at the time. It was kind of big in the news and just amongst people who are really pushing for medical cannabis in South Carolina. And I'm a big advocate for that. I think that natural remedies, especially plant remedies, are far better than any pharmaceutical made, and that the herbal, holistic side of things were demonized and considered pseudoscience by the mainstream medical organization that was taken over by a select group of people many, many years ago. And they had to demonize natural medicines in order to create big pharma. So that's off topic a little bit, but that's how the cake came to be. Everybody who was at my birthday party, I do consider good friends it's been a while, so I don't remember everybody who was there. I could go back and look, but I don't remember anybody being there that I wasn't at least somewhat close to. There are people there that I haven't seen a lot and wouldn't consider like super close, but I still consider them close because I know they love me, I know I love them, and we have stayed in contact somewhat over the years. Now, there were a lot of people there that are very close to me as well. Anyway, the picture of the birthday cake was used deceptively by Duffy to insinuate that the person who wrote the email was actually at my birthday party. Now, whether this person who wrote the email sent him the picture of my birthday cake or not, I do not know that. What I do know is the person who wrote the email was not at my birthday party. They pulled the picture of if they sent it to Will, they pulled it from my Facebook and used it to deceive Will as well. So I'm giving you an out here, Will. That person who wrote the email used that picture from my Facebook to deceive Will, to make it seem like he was closer to me than he actually is. Or the other option is Will pulled that from my Facebook, or Will had someone pull that from my Facebook and intentionally, deceptively used it to try to correlate the person who wrote the email with someone who was at my birthday party, which in fact was not. So those are the two scenarios in which this birthday cake picture was used. Either it was maliciously used by the person who wrote the email to give credence to his false email and his credibility as someone close to me, or it was nefariously used by Will Duffy to deceive people to believe the person that sent him this email was actually close to me. Either way, very bad situation for both. The evidence was not evidence. It was a very weak attempt to discredit me as a liar based on false witness. So Will, you may try to defend the fact that you claim scripture doesn't say it's wrong, morally wrong to lie or deceive, but you do claim to bear false witness is wrong, if I'm correct by your summary that is going around on the internet of I think it was a 4-part sermon. And you bore false witness, and I believe you did so intentionally. I believe that's who you are right now. Do I pray that you change? Yes, I do. Actually, and I mean that sincerely. But what you are not is someone who doesn't know what he's doing when he does something like that. You knew very well what you were doing, why you were doing it, and the reasons behind using not only a false witness testimony, but then trying to corroborate that false witness testimony with a picture that's completely unrelated to the false witness. It's completely separated from it. That's despicable. It's very despicable. And everyone who's claiming that, I was proved a liar by that email, you are proving that you are suffering from cognitive dissonance and that you will grasp onto anything to try to discredit someone who you disagree with. Any intelligent, intellectually honest person looking at the so-called evidence of that email and birthday cake would outright dismiss it as not evidence or anything, just as a flagrant attempt to try to discredit someone based on a false witness. That's really the only way I can put it. That's my address to the email and the birthday cake. I'm not going to talk about it again. I'm not going to address anything else about that specific interview, but that was the point of the interview. The way he titled the interview was, "Can this flat earther save flat earth?" Well, if you look back to my video where I offered him the opportunity to prove me a liar, that's what led to that video that he titled, Can This Flat Earther Say Flat Earth? So the premise that we agreed to was for him to prove me a liar, not that I was trying to say flat Earth. Another deception by Will Duffy. He is deceptive. He does it intentionally. There's no way somebody just coincidentally, accidentally keeps doing these deceptive things. So, that being said, the title was under a false premise. I offered him the opportunity to prove his claim that he could prove when I decided that the 24-hour sun, Antarctic sun, actually worked in a model. That's what he said. When I decided it actually worked is when he said he could prove that I lied about that. That's what he said on Bykadrazov's show. Also, during this interview or talk or whatever people want to call it, he acted like we haven't spoken about this stuff before. Almost like when we were talking on Bykadrazov's show the other day, like that was the first interaction we've had about all this. That's provably false. He and I have been going back and forth for quite a while now. Some of it, much of it, well, I would say much of it, but some of it is on record on YouTube and other videos and Facebook posts and social media posts. So again, him being deceptive. Look, I have no ill will towards him. I don't wish him any harm. I don't wish anybody any harm. I don't have any ill will towards anybody. But when somebody makes a positive claim, I'm going to hold their feet to the fire about that claim when it comes to them making a claim about me being a liar in a situation like this. He said so multiple times. He came on because the show accused me of it, said he could prove it, so I gave him the opportunity to prove it. During that, I held his feet to that claim, and I wasn't going to entertain anything else because that's not what we were there for. That's not what we agreed to do, the interview, the talk, the show, whatever people want to call it. We didn't agree to anything else other than for him to prove me a liar. He was unable to do that. He deceptively tried to discredit me based on false testimony and then correlating that false testimony with a picture nefariously or maliciously used to try to corroborate that false testimony. That's deceptive from a guy who teaches that it's okay to lie and deceive, yet he wants to call other people liars. I don't see how anybody can't see the hypocrisy in that. And that you shouldn't believe anything the guy says if he says that. If he literally tells you that he doesn't think it's morally wrong to lie and deceive, I don't care what book he pulls it from. If he tells you that, you shouldn't listen to him, you shouldn't trust him. I don't think it's ever okay to lie. I don't think it's ever okay to deceive. Have I in my past lied and deceived people? Yes, I have. Have I done really wicked things? Yes, I have. Am I glad that Jesus redeemed me and saved me and truly changed me, made me a new person? I'm absolutely eternally grateful, and that's why I will proclaim his name loudly until the day I take my last breath. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man or woman comes to the Father but through him. Simple as that. Those aren't my words. Those are his words. You can get mad at me for saying that. That's fine. He told me, tells all believers who call upon his name that will be the case, that we will be hated for his name's sake because he was hated, that the world will not receive us because we are not of this world, that we are of him. So Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father, no woman comes to the Father but through him. Lying and deceiving is not okay. Can we be forgiven for it? Yes, we absolutely can. Can we continue to walk in it and still call ourselves true believers? I don't believe we can. I don't think that you can willfully walk in things like that and willfully do things like that and truly be connected to the Creator who hates lies and says so throughout his word quite a bit. I hope that clears everything up about the letter, the email, the false witness email, the person who wrote that email, and the picture of my 40th birthday cake, which was nefariously used, or deceptively used, or maliciously used, however you want to word it, intentionally misused to correlate the person who wrote the email with someone who was actually close to me and at my party, which they are neither. Unfortunately, too many people are willing to cling to a false testimony or false witness like that because it's an easy out. It's an easy way out. And I get it, but if you're intellectually honest, you would not accept that email. You would kind of figure out real quickly just from reading the email that the person who wrote it is definitely not close to me. I would never, ever, ever in my life write an email to some stranger that I've never met about somebody who's close to me, calling them an egotist and a narcissist and all those things, especially if I hadn't seen them in 20 years or spent any time with them in 20 years, other than maybe a few little interactions where we ran into each other in that time. I do believe the person showed up to a Christmas party that I had a few years back and was at my Christmas party for a couple of hours, few hours. I can't remember for sure. It's been 4 or 5 years since we had that. So anyway, that's where I'm at with the crazy email and picture of my birthday cake, which is just laughable to begin with. Hope everybody enjoys this. Hopefully it's informative. God bless. I wish you all the best.